Hi everyone and welcome, my name is Dora, and in today's video I want to show you the pans I hit in 2024. I have got 23 palettes here next to me and I want to show you 45 pans that I managed to hit so far this year. Obviously there's still a little bit of time. I'm still trying to hit 5 more pans. It just happens to be 5 more would make for a total of 50, and I have every intention of making that work for the end of the year because these are the final 5 pans that I need to hit so that I can still make it for Do My Battleship that I'm playing over on Instagram with Billy. So I want to show you those ones at the very end as well, just a little bit of a progress in case you're wondering and interested. But let's kick off. Okay, 45 pans, like I said. I didn't hit any pans in January, but my first one I hit on the 2nd of February and it comes from the Catrice Tropic Exotic palette, and there was a teal shimmer shade in here, shade number 8, which is now gone because I frankened it, but this was the shadow here that I hit pan in as part of Pando's eyeshadows, so you should be able to see some footage here. Then I didn't hit any more pans for another 9 days, but on the 13th of February I hit pan in my then Pan That palette by BH Cosmetics, and it's the Colori Vivace palette, and this was in shade number 10. And it was in this shade here, so a peachy satin shade. These are such tiny pans and I really thought I was going to get really far with this Pan That palette, but maybe around spring, summer, I abandoned it. I abandoned a third Pan That palette as well to solely focus on my main Pan That palette that I started back in 2023. You will see this palette feature a lot in this video. Don't worry, it's not really spoilers because I've just posted my latest PTP update. But yeah, just to, give a little bit of a note on this one. This wasn't the only pan I hit in this, so you will see it again in a little bit. Then I hit pan in this Revolution palette here called Jewel Glow, and it was just shade number 18, and I had it in Do My Battleship, so I hit my first pan over there in that project. And you can see there's a lot of shades missing here from this palette because I have frankened most of it here. But here is that pan for you, that teeny tiny one. This is a perfect brow bone shadow for me. One of 3 that I've got in my collection. There's a MAC single with a mystery shade that I'm trying to finish right now. I update on that every now and then in my No Buy Project pan, and I've got 2 dupes. So one is from this palette here and the other one is from the Revolution Chilled palette, which will also feature in a moment. And that shadow I hit on the 18th of February. That was it for February, so 3 pans in February, 0 in January, and then I had 3 more in March as well. On the 13th of March, I hit pan in a shade called Obsess, and it comes from the Revolution Pro New Neutral Romance palette. A lovely duochrome shadow, and this was in Pando's eyeshadows. It was a matter of alternating between using it as a topper shade, applying it with my fingers, and then also using a brush because it's quite a hard pan in here. About a week later, on the 21st of March, I hit pan in my first ever Natasha Denona shadow. Woohoo! And this was in Project Level Up, and I believe, yes, it was for level 1. And I managed to hit pan in the shade Serenity, and this is of course the My Dream palette. So as well as hitting pan, I also managed to do a no pan left behind on this entire palette. Really enjoyed it. Yeah. Oh, there's a shadow missing here. It may or may not be part of a project next year. We'll find out. On the 31st of March, I hit my second pan for Do My Battleship, and that came from the BH Cosmetics Do Not Disturb palette. And the shadow is a beautiful blue shimmer shadow called Me Time. And here it is. There's quite a nice pan expansion on here actually. I had this in Project Clue, or Clue Special Panning Edition over on Instagram as well. Okay, next month, April, I hit a lot of pans in April. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The first one came from the Revolution Utopia palette, and it was in the shadow Promise. And that is this beautiful purpley pink fuchsia type shadow here, a matte. And I also had this in Do My Battleship. Staying with this palette, just 2 days later, I hit another pan, and this time in the shadow Fiction. And that's this one over here, and this was in Pandas Eyeshadows. On the 14th of April, I hit a pan in my Too Faced That's My Jam palette. This was, at the time, my third pan that palette. I only wanted to hit pan in these 8 shadows here. I didn't manage to do it. But in mid-April, I hit pan on Pickup Lines. So very beautiful, iridescent, green shifting inner corner highlight type shadow. And then on the 18th of April, finally, I hit another pan in my main pan that palette, still is, and that is the Makeup Revolution Kombucha Kiss palette. And I hit pan in the shadow Heating Up, and I'm using the air quotes here because it's a Franken shadow. It's no longer here. I managed to finish it, but here's some footage of it as well. So this is the shadow that you're seeing there that I Frankened with both shadows from within this palette as well as my side pan that palette from last year, which was the Maybelline The Blush Nudes palette. 4 days later, on the 22nd of April, I hit pan in this Revolution Forever Limitless Nude Rain palette, and it was for Pandas Eyeshadows in the shadow Glamour. And here it is here. You can see this palette also looks a little bit different. It was a 27 pan palette. It's a 26 pan palette now because I've taken out this pink one here. It was a pink satin shadow called Video that I Frankened with my Kombucha Kiss palette, and then I took half of this gold shadow out here as well called Art. So yeah, I just find it a little bit bulky. This shadow was really fun to use and I really enjoyed it, but yeah, a lot of these shadows, I'm not sure about them. I think I'm just going to use this as a Franken palette. Like I said, it's very bulky. I think a lot of these mattes I can probably work into some kind of face products. It's helpful to have, don't get me wrong. And some of these I will probably keep in their original formula and shadow shade. But I'm also happy to move this out eventually, maybe in 25. Then I hit pan in my Project Level Up Level 2 palette, and this is the Beauty Bay Wilderness palette. And of course, it had to be Ray, an inner corner highlight shadow, super malleable and easy to hit pan in, and that was this one here. And then just 1 day later, on the 23rd of April, I hit my second pan in the Too Faced That's My Jam palette, and it was in the shadow called Jam on It. So this is this burgundy matte shadow here. Oh, so reflective. Yeah, really beautiful, and I think shortly after that, I decided to ditch this palette out of my project. And you can see that the pans in Kombucha Kiss are picking up after that, so it was probably a really wise move. Then I hit another pan in the Jewel Glow palette, but it's no longer here. I'll show it to you again anyway. And it was just the 4th shadow in this palette, a neutral sort of mid-toned shimmer shadow here. It was part of Duty Pat My Battleship, and as soon as I hit pan and took that picture, I decided to Franken it and Franken the rest of the palette as well. And that was on the 1st of May. So I had just 3 pans in May, and the next one was on the 9th of May, and it came again from my pan that palette, my main one, my real one. And this again was in the shade Light Up, but in the Franken that was in here. And yeah, managed to hit pan on it. It's no longer here. Super happy. Then on the 14th of May, I hit my second pan in Do Not Disturb by BH Cosmetics. And this was part of Pandas Eyeshadows. And it was in the brown burgundy type shimmery shadow called Don't Bother. Absolutely love this entire palette. It's very similar to kind of what I've got going on today. I won't point this out because this is the look I'm trying to pan right now. But yeah, lovely, beautiful color story. I think this might be a pan that palette contender, maybe for 2 or 3 years time. We'll see. But it's so pretty. I really like this palette a lot. Going into June, I have got 5 pans in June, so a little bit better again. And on the 4th and on the 14th of June, I hit pan in 2 shadows in the Kombucha Kiss palette, and that was in All or Nothing and Scorching, respectively, again, in inverted commas, because they were both Frankens. So All or Nothing is still here. It's got a nice big pan on it now. Definitely bigger than what it looked like then. And Scorching, I managed to finish, and it was a beautiful pink shimmer shadow that I made here. Coming back to a palette that you've seen before in this video on the 14th of June. Ooh, 2 pans in the same day. Yeah, I think that's the first time that had happened to me that year at least. Maybe ever. I think it happened to me once before in 23. But yeah, still kind of new to, you know, hitting more than 1 pan in one day. Revolution, Utopia, and it was in the shadow Aurora, and this was part of Panda's eyeshadows. And it's this lovely, lovely blue shimmer shadow here. I think that might have been during my 30-day makeup bag challenge because this one was definitely part of that. Yes, it was, because then I hit pan in another Revolution palette, and this is the Cherry Please palette, just shade number 3. Probably the prettiest shadow in this palette here is the one in the middle, a really lovely shifty pink and peachy shadow. Beautiful. So there's that. On the 15th of June, ooh, another double pan situation. I also hit pan in Energy in the Revolution Kombucha Kiss palette. This was, at the time, a yellow matte. So I'm going to insert that here so you can see it. Yeah, that was a lot of uses before I managed to hit pan in that shadow. I remember that. Moving on to July, just 2 pans. On the 13th of July, I hit pan in the shade called Sativa by the Revolution Chilled palette. And it's a brown shimmer. And I know that was just after my 30-day makeup bag challenge, but this was part of it, so I had worked on it really well during that challenge. Just 2 days later, on the 15th of July, I hit pan in a shadow in a BH Cosmetics palette again, but this time in the Doja Cat Visions palette, and it's the shadow called Russell, a really lovely minty matte shadow. And it is tiny, but I promise it's there. And this was as part of Panda's eyeshadows. Right, I hit pan in another Natasha Denona shadow. And this was another double pan in one day, 14th of August. Ayana in the shadow Glam Green. This had fallen out on me, so I had to repress it. And then it was, of course, really easy to hit pan on it. And I had it in a project, I think Graveyard, to finish it, and then sort of gave up on it because I loved it too much. And this was a palette I got from the lovely Ruth here on YouTube. And then the second palette from the same day came from my Revolution Pro New Neutral Luxe Shadow palette in the shade Neutral. And it's just this brow bone type shadow here, a matte. So we're in August now. I had 4 in August, so 2 more. Another Natasha Denona shadow from the Glam palette. I had shade number 2 or Outer Eyelid in my Panda's eyeshadows. So I hit pan on that on the 27th, and that was here. Yay. On the 31st of August, I hit pan on Flames, but it looked different then. It was the original, an orange, similar to Fiery up here, but lighter, brighter, a bit more yellow. 5 pans in September. On the 1st of September, so just a day later, I hit pan in Heat in the Kombucha Kiss palette. That's another original that's still here, and it's this one here that you can see there. So a sort of tan colored matte. 1 day later, 2nd of September, another Franken from this palette. Spice up here, a brown shimmer. I hit pan on that. And then finally, remember my level 2 palette, the Beauty Bay Wilderness palette. This is another one I got from Ruth, by the way, and I hit pan in the shade Eucalyptus. And here it is, a really, really, really pretty, grungy, muddy green matte shadow. I did enjoy using it. Took me a little while to commit to which other shadow other than Ray to hit pan on, but yeah, got there eventually. And then the next 4 shadows all come from the Kombucha Kiss again. I was really trying to hit pan in everything by this point, obviously. 23rd of September in Energy, 2nd time round. The Franken, the one you can see in there now. Then in the Franken Passion on the 28th of September. Then on the 7th of October, I hit pan in Flames, this time the Franken. So another pan in the same spot, but different shadow. And then also on the 7th of October, I hit pan in Fiery. So this is the original one this beautiful orange matte shadow here. A new palette for October. So October, I already showed you two. The next one came from the XX Revolution Mint Master Luxe Shadow Palette, and it was in Pandas Eyeshadows, and it was the shade Dominate, and I hit that on the 11th. And it's this really lovely sort of lavender shimmer shadow. It wears kind of silvery, far more silver than purple on the eyelids, but still, you know, if you put like a really nice purple base under it, which I tend to do because I use eyeshadow sticks as a base, then it's like really, really nice. But yeah, with a neutral base, more silver leaning for sure, but still enjoyed it. And these XX Revolution shadows are super easy to hit pan in, like under 10 for sure. Coming back to the first palette I showed you, and that was the Catrice Tropic Exotic palette, and I hit pan on the 16th of October for Dude Your Pamper Battleship in the 7th shadow, and I use this as an inner corner highlight shadow. Another new palette, ABH Riviera. This was my Project Level Up Level 3 palette. Really enjoyed this one. Watch this space. It's gonna come back again next year. On the 23rd of October, I hit pan in the shadow Estate. This is another palette from Ruth. Here's Estate for you. And then on the 2nd of November, I hit pan in Sales in this white matte shadow here. Also in November on the 11th in the shade Can here, this purple matte. So November saw me hitting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pans. So that's pretty good again. And I hit pan in the Revolution So Jaded Quartet here, which didn't have pan before. That one always makes me so happy. And it's in this pressed glitter here, so just shadow number 3, and that was on the 18th of November. And then on the 24th of November, I hit pan in the Revolution Constellation palette, another one from their Forever Flawless range, in the shadow Spiral. Absolutely love this purple shimmer. It's really all I want from autumn onwards. It's just purple, 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 purple. It's not what I do and wear every day, but yeah, it's what I'm craving all the time at this time of year. So I managed to hit that, and that was for Dude Your Pamper Battleship. And then on the 30th of November, another day where I hit 2 pans in the same look, and that came from the Revolution Rockstar Nude Edition palette, which is a Palette 2025 contender, and it was in the shade Simplicity here. And that also was for Dude Your Pamper Battleship. Coming back to the Constellation palette, I hit pan on the same day in the shade Fractal, a blinding silvery inner quarter highlight shadow, which of course has the exact same color as the pan. And then the 2 pans I hit in December, also within the same look, on the same day of course, 7th of December, and that was within the Barry M Black Cherry palette, another 2025 contender for my palette. And it was in the shadow Ripen. Look at this pan here. I mean, I did not touch this afterwards anymore. And then my final shadow in the same look, a gray, a shimmer called Mercury here. Super, super happy. So that was all of them, 45. Like I said, still trying to hit pan in 5 more. There is the Shadow Gala Revolution Pro New Neutral Blush Palette. These are all in Dude Your Pamper Battleship. I'm wearing this in my outer corner today. And then I've got a Retro Love from Beauty Bay on my lid. And it's a purple matte called LOVE. And it's this one here. So yeah, still trying to hit pan on it. I am also still trying to hit pan in Seaside within the ABH Riviera palette. This is what I've got as a topper shade today and on my nails. I really, really love this, and it's holding up quite well. I'm still working away on the brow bone shadow, so just shade number 1 in the Catrice Tropic Exotic palette. I'm at over 70 uses now, maybe even 80 by now. There is no pan in sight. I may have to wear this all over my lid. We shall see. But thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like and comment and subscribe. Follow me along. and I hope you have a lovely, lovely rest of your day or night, wherever you are, and I'm sending you so much love. Take care, bye.